You're a CMO, you're building out your influencer team internally. You need a checklist of what you're looking for and the skills required. Happy to share our thoughts.
Welcome to the Influencer Marketing Show. I'm Brad.
I'm Joel.
Hello from Detroit. That's French for Detroit, for those of you who are wondering.
Is a French settled city for those who are interested. All right.
Boom.
The scenario today, you're a CMO, you're building out your internal influencer marketing team, and what skills, what hard skills, what soft skills ought you to be looking for? We want to do this quickly and get through so you don't have to spend a lot of time with us today, but we think this is going to be useful. So, skill one, Bradley, take it away.
Well, you needed someone who's comfortable managing a campaign from soup to nuts. So you need someone who's got some stick-to-itiveness, some staying power, whatever it is, because influencer is going to be a rolling thunder type of campaign. So you need someone who's got the project management chops and can really see things through from day 1 to day 365.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
what else you got?
I'm going to say someone who is adept at negotiation is going to be big. You need someone on your team. There's a ton of negotiation. Again, I mean, just to put a sharp point on it. This isn't a TV spot where you're negotiating with a handful of salespeople from big networks. You are negotiating with hundreds of small independent creators. You need someone, and the rules of the game
Their managers, their agents,
way more complicated, and so someone who's going to be adept at that.
Yep.
Next one.
I agree. So the next one I would say is you have to be fantastic at building relationships and truly being able to understand both sides of the coin. Because a brand is going to, by nature, look at things from their perspective, but to be successful, you've got to also see things from the creator's lens. So important to be able to develop those relationships. I'll go back to what I said before. This is a long-term strategy. Sure, you're going to be putting out your first piece of content and your second, but this really needs to be a long-term relationship to do influencer well.
Yep. I would fully agree with that. In fact, your success 100% depends on your ability to build long-term relationships.
Yep.
Okay. Next one. Where's this fit in with the rest of the organization? Look, you as the CMO need to put very, very, very strict guidelines around who has what power, who has what authority internally. And frankly, I would say you need to put someone in charge of this whole effort who actually has the internal chop. You cannot just put some 22-year-old that loves Instagram in charge of your influencer strategy. Why? Because they're not going to have the internal chops to be able to do what they need to do. They're not going to be able to push back against your legal team when all of a sudden the legal team wants to get really involved. They're like you gotta have somebody in charge and empower them to actually make decisions.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that's super important. And then just one other angle to it is when you're thinking about how to staff the team, you need to be able to look at it more holistically from a marketing team perspective, right? So you don't want someone who's narrowly performance driven. So your performance marketing, your growth team, your direct response, whatever it's called. But generally speaking, those are going to be analytical folks, and that's great. But you also need someone who understands the higher magnitude value associated with influencer marketing from a branding perspective, from an awareness, from a cool older cousin who's now recommending this product. You've got to have someone who can either cut across both organizations and, to your point, have the power to push back on those organizations, or someone who has those skills and create a new department inside of your marketing team. So I think the interaction piece is really important.
Yeah, because it's brand and performance, and it has to be viewed as such, and so therefore it doesn't fit neatly into whatever you're structuring. Yeah, completely. Okay, someone who's capable of doing market research, trend analysis. Okay, there's a whole lot where influencer can be beautifully effective, very timely at tapping into zeitgeist. Someone that's clued into that vibe. Now, this can be a more junior person, but again, you've got to be able to empower them to be able to speak up to the rest of the organization, saying, "Hey, this really, really interesting thing just happened in this subculture. Here's a creative way that we could tap into it," and you need to be nimble enough to be able to capitalize on those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, 2 quick points to build on that. Number one is it sort of depends on what platform you want to go into to understand how important these trends on platform are. So TikTok, it's off the charts
Right.
in terms of being able to know what's happening here and now. I mean, if you were planning a campaign for 2 months out, that's too far in advance to be able to try to
Right.
dictate anything
Yep.
from a creative perspective. So that's super important. And the
Twitch,
second,
I would say,
yeah,
falls into that category.
yeah, no doubt about it. And the second one, this should be obvious in 2022, but make sure you have a diverse team so that you are tapping into the whole world of the interesting,
Yeah.
unique things that are happening, and you're not just looking at it through your lens, right? As a CMO, you are a very smart individual. You're leading a fantastic team, I am sure, but it is impossible for you to know all of the trends, know everything that's happening across like so many different perspectives. So just be conscious that you're putting people like in touch with these trends and these what's happening now, who are going to see and understand things from many different perspectives. So I think that's something that's important as well. So
Yep. My last one is, I think some of our hardest, this is one of our hardest learned lessons. And I cannot understate the importance of it, is the quality of internal relationships of your team is going to determine your external success. Influencer is inherently relational. How your team interacts with each other spills out into the broader creator community, for good or ill. If you have a whole bunch of disgruntled team members who are bitter at your CEO or bitter at this product or whatever's going on, that is going to seep out into the whole creator community as you try and engage this community in ways that will have incredibly negative consequences long term for your brand, for your enterprise, what have you. So we spend an enormous amount of time building internal relationships, making sure they're good, being pretty pretty deliberate about who we bring on, and then once they're on, making sure that it's someone that's capable of investing in internal relationships, because it's so important for how that seeps out to the rest of the creator community. You cannot have an effective influencer effort unless you have strong internal relationships where people really enjoy being together, really enjoy working together, really enjoy the work they do, because otherwise you're just going to be like literally seeping poison out into the very market that you're trying to reach.
yeah, because there's so many different angles and
Yeah.
there's so much nuance to this that we could be saying, I could be saying CPM is important and you could be telling me it's not. And we're both right. And you need to be able to work well together to get to that nuance and appreciate it. I mean, look, bottom line, there's a lot of different skills that are needed to be successful as an influencer marketer, right? You need people skills, you need hard analytical skills, you need negotiation skills, you need some level of creative skills. You need a lot of humility to know that the creator really is the one who has the end power. So there's a lot to think about. And if you're a CMO, trust your gut. I mean, if you think you've got the right team to do this, go forward with it, know it. Hopefully some of these tricks have been helpful for you. If you don't think you have the right team in place, this could also be a time to reach out to an agency to try to help get things rolling. Certainly, here at the Out Loud Group, we can help you with this. And if you're not a CMO and these sort of qualities really resonate with you, then by all means, hey, maybe a career in influencer marketing is something that's good for you. Again, feel free to hit us up at outloudgroup.com. But in any case, hopefully,
one last
yes,
thought. We'll
please.
land the plane. Again, appeal to the CMO, the director of marketing, maybe even the CEO of a young startup. If you're going to go to the effort to build this team, you need to make sure that you're going to be able to keep them, because this is one of the things that we've seen. We've seen a lot of companies build up really effective internal teams, and the whole team gets poached by somebody else that wants influencer capability, and then you are back to square one. So just know that there's that huge risk out here. It is way more difficult to replace somebody in the influencer space than it is to find someone who's an SEO expert or paid search expert or whatever. They can plug in on day one. Not so with influencer. So be aware of that. I just want to caution that. Okay.
No, that's great.
Thanks for hanging out. Follow us on social. So long from Detroit. We'll see you next time.